What if the loudest voice in rock suddenly went silent? What if the wildest stage performer on earth could no longer stand? Ozzy Osbourne, known to all as the Prince of Darkness, once stomped across the globe with deafening music, and his partner, Sharon, people whispered about his terrifying reputation. But now, the spotlights have dimmed, the fire dwindles, and Sharon clings to a love that's gradually slipping away. This tale isn't just about music. This is the final goodbye no one saw coming. We've got a rock royalty romance fueled by upheaval, devotion, and a fierce woman named Sharon. There are wheelchairs, heartbreak, and farewells ahead. At the center of it all stands Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness. Yet he wasn't always a global icon. Once, most folks assumed his career had ended for good when Black Sabbath kicked him out in 1979. Over. Washed up. Then Sharon entered the picture, and everything changed in a flash. She wasn't just a girlfriend. She served as his manager, his boss, and soon enough, his wife. She scooped up the fragments of his broken career and hurled them at the world like hot embers. If Ozzy was the untamed force, Sharon held the leash. Together, they were more than a couple. They operated like a sleek machine. Sharon booked the tours, picked the band members, handled the money, and made sure every stage was lit, while Ozzy shrieked into microphones and shattered every boundary. If he was steel, she was iron. His screams only made her more unstoppable. Then came the cameras. In the early 2000s, their home transformed into a full-blown reality show set. The Osbournes hit television like a thunderbolt, and audiences gaped at the chaos inside their house. There was Ozzy, rambling in the halls, Sharon tossing hams over fences, dogs barking, kids hollering, pure, messy pandemonium. People were hooked because it felt raw and genuine. Nobody expected their love story to emerge from such bedlam, nothing gentle or dreamy, more like a car careening downhill without brakes. Yet it worked, precisely because they never faked a thing. Sharon never downplayed the mayhem. She took control like a general in high heels, running their household, their company, and Ozzy's entire empire. Sure, folks cheered and laughed, but behind those curtains, the battles were intense. Hospital runs, slip-ups, tears, and more. Still, Sharon never fled. Not when Ozzy messed up. Not when he veered off course. Not even when danger loomed. Their love wasn't built on bouquets and candlelit dinners. It was forged in addictions, fame, lawsuits, blood, and rehab. They fought back against the media, the critics, and the darkness in their own hearts. Linked like a chain, breaking one meant breaking the other. They ruled for ages. Sharon stayed behind the scenes while Ozzy howled on stage. Together, they built a name so formidable that it needed no explanation. If you saw Sharon, you thought of Ozzy. If you heard Ozzy, Sharon came to mind. Yet all that glitz couldn't stretch on forever. Gradually, it started to unravel. No more red carpets or bustling tours. The once thundering household grew eerily subdued, because the man who once strode across arenas can hardly walk now. The same woman who once oversaw every penny is helping him sit up in bed, counting pills, and holding him steady. That dazzling savage kingdom they raised is now teetering, its ruler's health collapsing, and Sharon's jaw-dropping confession has overturned all we believed we knew. Ozzy's tragic health struggle crept in more slowly than people realized. This wasn't mere aging, but something far larger. The secret spilled out in 2020. He has Parkinson's disease. Not hearsay, but a real diagnosis. Yet signs had surfaced even before that announcement. Back in 2019, Ozzy took a bad fall at home, just one misstep. It dislodged the metal plates in his spine, put there long ago after an ATV accident in 2003. Pins and screws had kept him functioning, but that tumble disrupted them all. The damage was severe, and things only spiraled from there. He needed surgery, then another, and another. He couldn't bounce back like he used to. People assumed he was just laying low, but in reality, he was convalescing in hushed agony. Then another disaster, a global illness arrived. It struck Ozzy while his health was already on the edge. Sharon confessed it nearly finished him off. While others fretted over coughs, he couldn't even draw a full breath. But Parkinson's was the true menace, looming behind the scenes. First, it stole his balance, then his ability to move freely. Before long, he couldn't walk. Sharon stated with grave finality, "He can't walk anymore." This was the same man who leapt off stages, tromped around while fans roared, and made speakers quake under his voice. Now he sits, needing assistance just to stand upright. Parkinson's isn't the kind of bruise that heals. It digs in deeper each year, stealing more and more. On certain days, he can shuffle slightly. On others, he can't move at all. There's no pattern or warning. He once remarked his legs feel as if they're weighed down by heavy bricks, like they aren't even his. Yet his mind remains so aware. He witnesses every bit of his decline, recalling past triumphs, the buzzing lights, that enormous ocean of fans. These days, he mostly sits, remembering the raucous glory he once lived. He talks often about survival, an unvarnished candor from a man once splashed across magazines. Living, he says, is his legacy. You never abandon what you love, you find a way forward. But what happens when the mighty body can no longer uphold the legendary voice? That's the grim query nobody wants to confront. The time for revival tours or secret albums is gone. The mission now is to keep him at ease, to get him through each day. Sharon knows this too well. She's done planning epic comebacks. She's watching him breathe, cradling him so time slows to a crawl. She sees the genuine Ozzy, no longer the shrieking madman on the stage, but a peaceful, exhausted soul. His story isn't finished, though. Ozzy is quietly assembling new plans, even now. Once upon a time, Sharon Osbourne was everywhere. On stage, backstage, hosting talk shows, popping up in every corner of popular culture. She built, managed, and oversaw it all. She was more than Ozzy's wife. She was his partner, boss, and shield. But these days, the scenario looks vastly different. Instead of hovering near the stage's edge, she sits by a hospital bed. When they learned his diagnosis, her role shifted. She ceased to be just the manager and became the person Ozzy clings to through the night. She no longer books tours. She juggles his medication schedule. She swapped conference calls for morning routines, helping him slip on a robe or brush his hair. No paparazzi followed this transformation. It happened in stillness. She's confessed a little in passing interviews, her voice gentle, a far cry from the brash warrior people remember. She speaks of how she rarely sleeps, how she often paces around, watching him breathe. She tries to act brave in public, always neat, always polite. But behind her composed mask is a woman close to tears. The man who could once leap across stadiums can barely shuffle from one room to another. She moves him forward inch by inch. Fans recall her saying that Ozzy's still in there, shining like a small ember. But watching him is like seeing a wild animal trapped behind bars. A massive, powerful spirit locked inside a body that has quit obeying. Sharon also moves differently. Fewer TV appearances, fewer red carpet events, fewer laughs. She's gracefully pulling away. She never declares she's retiring, yet everyone senses she's stepping out of the limelight for him. Perhaps that's the real, unspoken farewell. While the world laments Ozzy, Sharon is quietly letting go, too. Not with an orchestra or a dramatic finale, but in darkness, tucking in his blanket, steadying his steps. The woman who once propelled his entire career is now dismantling her own achievements, piece by piece, without a single speech. This isn't just Ozzy's goodbye, it's Sharon's as well. But if you think the story ends there, brace yourself. There's still one final act. One last step. One more secret the Osbournes have kept under wrap. Parkinson slid in quietly, eroding his energy and balance bit by bit until it seized his ability to walk. Fans may reminisce about the rebellious spirit, but away from prying eyes, he isn't headed to band rehearsal. He's off to physical therapy. There aren't roaring arenas now, just hushed rooms where he labors to stretch his legs and keep his hands steady. People still recount those rowdy TV segments, the bat incident, the shouting, but the current Ozzy isn't so loud anymore. Sharon kept the truth concealed for ages, not to mislead, but to protect him. She wanted people to remember him as the unstoppable force, not the frail patient in a hospital gown. Eventually, the secret got too big to hide. They spoke of his falls, his operations, the agonizing toll. Sharon said they assumed they could handle it, never realizing Parkinson's could be so cruel. This was beyond a few rough patches. It was a whole new reality. Today, Ozzy isn't appending hotel rooms or stomping across stages. He's sitting, focusing on each careful motion, praying for just one good day. But he hasn't thrown in the towel. Even as his body slows, he's still there, luminous in any space he occupies. Yet it's impossible not to picture the man once clad in black, shrieking into the dark, now needing help just to sit down. Sharon, who once guided him through record-shattering album launches, now adjusts his pillows and notes when he needs his next dose of medication. This isn't just a minor change, everything is different. But a surprising twist remains: Ozzy won't stop. Something big is brewing, even through the pain and stillness. One last evening, one last crowd, one final performance from the Prince of Darkness, a farewell show nobody will ever forget. This event is enormous, arguably the biggest thing Ozzy Osbourne has done in years. The stage is chosen, the date circled, and anticipation skyrockets. On July 5th, WP25, he will appear in Birmingham, the city that molded him. They're naming it Back to the Beginning, because that's precisely what it is, returning to where it all started, to close the final chapter. This isn't just another rock concert, it's history in the making. Even more astonishing, the original Black Sabbath lineup will be part of this spectacle. Tony Iommi, Ozzy, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward, together for a single night, a single performance, to say goodbye. People thought it was impossible, but it's happening, despite every obstacle. Birmingham serves as more than a location, it's a symbol. It's where Ozzy roamed as a teen, causing mischief and dreaming big dreams. So this concert isn't random. It's a man coming home to the place that birthed his chaos, so he can finally close that door. It won't look like his past shows. He probably won't stand for the entire performance, and might not move around at all. He might perch on a special seat or even a throne, letting the music swirl around him. Nobody expects him to leap or thrash anymore. They just want to hear that unmistakable voice one final time. This is not just Ozzy's last show. It's the ultimate finale for Sharon, the fans, and everyone who followed him through triumphs and downfalls. Sharon's last act as a manager will come and go, and then there will be quiet. Fans who witnessed him in his prime will see him in his frailty. This isn't a party, just a single, poignant moment. No film reel or live stream can replicate it perfectly, and the burning question is, can a man who can't walk ignite an entire crowd into standing ovations? The power of this moment lies in that contradiction. He may not move, but his presence still vibrates through every corner of the venue. His voice holds both agony and resilience, forging a connection that pulses straight from Birmingham's heart, the birthplace of heavy metal. We're nearing the time for Ozzy's final roar of applause, the voice that carried an entire generation. He shaped more than just a genre. He helped invent heavy metal by venturing into dark, imposing sounds with Black Sabbath. His voice was raw, strange, maybe even unsettling, but it was authentic, and people adored it. After Sabbath split, he refused to slow down, producing classics like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, with immortal songs such as Crazy Train. And when others fizzled out, he fired things back up with Ozfest, a sanctuary for heavy music, where legends mingled with fresh upstarts. But for Ozzy, it was never just about the music, it was about connecting with the misfits and outcasts. He sang for those who felt unwelcome anywhere else. His flaws made him relatable, and fans didn't just watch, they saw themselves in him. Meanwhile, Sharon ensured that bond never broke. Behind the wild madness, she was the architect, orchestrating tours and battles so that Ozzy could simply focus on performing. His voice softened over time while hers grew louder. The world wouldn't forget him, thanks to her. And now, with his health deteriorating, she's sketching out the next steps. Documentaries, tribute shows, heartfelt interviews, all meant to unveil the real Ozzy, not just the man who once shocked audiences on stage, but also the wounded teen from Birmingham who would never quit. Sharon has also begun addressing topics beyond music: eldercare, chronic illness, and the anguish of watching a loved one fade right before your eyes. She once said something that silenced everyone: "He's endured 10 times more hardship than most could handle, but this is different." It perfectly sums up the heartbreak, because she's now caretaker not just of his career, but of his legacy, his comfort, and his final memories. While everyone else sees him waning, Sharon is evolving too. She's no longer the intense manager, she's calmer, yet still strong, quietly saying goodbye in private. This farewell isn't plastered on magazines. It happens behind the scenes, as she steps back, listens more, and speaks less. She isn't just bidding farewell to Ozzy, she's saying goodbye to the version of herself that existed because of him. The world talks endlessly about how Ozzy affected music, but rarely asks what Sharon brought to the table. Yet hold on, there's another place we need to visit: because Ozzy's struggles began long before he ever felt the heat of stadium lights. They originated inside a house humming with tension, secrets, and something far more sinister than fame. Curious where it all began? Let's go deeper. In that dark foundation, Ozzy wasn't some unstoppable legend. He was a quiet boy in a threatening environment. He lived in Aston, a working-class area of Birmingham, sharing a cramped space with 5 siblings. His parents toiled endlessly, but the house was anything but calm. It rang with noise, fear, and events no child should witness. School didn't offer refuge, either. He struggled with reading, faced constant bullying, and fell behind in nearly every class. Worst of all, bigger boys assaulted him when he was just 11, an ordeal he hid for a long time. He carried that terrible weight daily, and it only grew heavier. As home life deteriorated, depression smothered him. He tried more than once to end his life in his early teens. By 13, he'd turned to stealing, not caring about consequences. A robbery at a nearby shop landed him in jail after his father refused to pay the fine. 6 frigid, miserable weeks in Winson Green prison did nothing to reform him. Then something unexpected happened. He heard the Beatles, and suddenly felt truly alive. One electric spark from that music made him realize maybe he wasn't destined to be a petty criminal. Maybe he was creative, someone born to sing. It didn't erase his suffering, but it gave him a direction, a tiny glimmer of purpose. From day one, Ozzy fought through pain, and that's why this new battle against Parkinson's carries so much weight. It's not his first fight. He's been battling something, in one form or another, his entire life. So while the top headline might be Parkinson's, the real story is whispered behind locked doors by the ones who've stood by him all along. Once, everything was noisy, chaotic reality TV. Now the Osbournes maintain a quieter stance. No streaming webcams, no constant broadcasts, just daily vigilance, quietly performed. Jack, his only son, understands it best. Diagnosed in 2012 with multiple sclerosis, he grapples with his own unpredictable illness that also attacks the nervous system. Jack has watched his father's body fail him, almost like peering into a reflection that reveals his own potential future. But Jack isn't chasing popularity. He's present, loyal, and knows exactly what it's like to resist an enemy lurking inside his own body. Kelly Osbourne, formerly the brash daughter, now remains close to Sharon, offering stability. She's no longer the loud rebel from the Osbournes. She's grown up, quietly taking care of her mother, adding warmth to the home so it doesn't collapse under heartbreak. She checks in with Sharon, lending her an ear whenever it's needed. The eldest daughter, Amy, still avoids the spotlight by choice, yet she's right there in her own subtle way. Not everyone proves their love on camera. Strangely enough, as Ozzy's health worsened, the family grew stronger together. Gone are the explosive quarrels of the early 2000s. Now they're a united front. Old feuds and distances melted away. The Osbournes have bonded anew, supporting one another through this crushing phase. Jack's dependability, Kelly's calming presence, Amy's gentle discretion, and Sharon's unwavering focus, they're all in the same fight now, as Sharon confronts the hardest struggle of her life, watching the man she loves fade. If this journey resonated with you, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, another video is waiting for you right now on your screen.